it is about induction. And when we talk about induction, the first challenge that comes to my mind is, telling the incumbents everything about the organization within the time given. And when you work for a 108-year-old organization with huge growth aspirations, that is a challenging task. Mostly inductions across companies that I've experienced are where the learning content is actually pushed to the learner. And that to me was the other challenge, because the kind of people we are recruiting these days from campuses, that methodology of learning doesn't work anymore. So for me, induction has become a very precious time, a small time that we get with the incumbent, not to tell the person about the whole company, but to get the person to connect with the organization at an emotional level. And I believe that the rest of the career the person's going to spend, he or she will learn about the company as needed. So those were the few things that we kept in our mind when we designed our induction program. What we did was, originally this was a 15-day long induction, which we tried to crunch, because getting people up and running is also a big business requirement. We gamified a large part of this induction. And as I was mentioning that, it is important for people to know about the organization, and most of the times it is pushed, the information is pushed to the learner. The challenge is to get the learners to want to learn. And that is what we were trying to do in this format, where we actually created two aspects. One was the video, which talked about the history, the past, the present, and the future of the organization. And there were activities related to it, primarily creative activities, which on puzzles, on jigsaw puzzles for people to draw on, and they brought it all together to make the map of India. The larger gamified piece was the ITC Champions League. And here we divided people into 10 groups, gave them names of warrior tribes, and we gave them a lot of learning content in various forms, e-learning, products, brochures, etc. But the way it was done was we created a dugout zone, which was their own area, where there were bandanas, there were logos, slogans, all of that. And there was a big identity that was created. So it was a good mixture of online, virtual gaming coming together with physical excitement. And one of the biggest thoughts that I wanted to share before that we picked up in the previous sessions was, learning is about keeping the learner in the center. Learning is in reflection. So those were the elements that we tried to create. And speed. We had to do all of this in just 2 months. Our biggest challenge was that we have the largest, in our organization, most of our current leaders have grown within the organization, and they have all undergone the induction program that in their times. So making a change to that was a huge shift in the mindset, and that was something that we achieved. What I wanted to show was some of the participant feedback that we received, and along with that, the clicker, okay. Some of the impacts that we have had. One of the biggest impact being 21 lakh savings on our previous expense that we used to have. This is just in the first year. We are hoping that it will be more in the years to come. The participant feedback, I think the first one sums it up. Never imagined I could learn so much about ITC in just one day. So that is what we created, and I just wanted to share a couple of pictures of what it looked like. Because, for young people, when we induct them into the organization, freshers, the challenge was also that we have about 83 people who joined. 60% of those people have interned with ITC. So making a game that is challenging enough was something that was critical. So it is basically a quizzing challenge where teams would face off with each other and learn through the process.
Ishita,
So that
I'm
is
going to
what-
have to request you to make your concluding remarks.
Sure. So net, what we wanted to create was an induction program that helps a person assimilate with the organization, get to understand the ethos of the organization, and give them pointers on if they want to know more, where they can find it. So that was what the induction program aimed to do.
Thank you so much, Ishita. Jury, it's over to you for questions.
Yeah, can I go ahead, Smriti? Sorry. Yeah. No, I am just really wondering, ITC is such an old organization. Why you need a buy-in from internal stakeholder? Ithong is already existing.
The reason was precisely because it is an old organization. Everyone who's in a leadership level, they have undergone an induction program which was very different, which was a 15-day long program where all our business heads and function heads would come and make a 2-hour long presentation to the participants. And those 15 days, these people, all our senior leaders, carry amazing memories out of those 15 days. So getting them to see that the new incumbent is a different animal altogether from people who have come in, let's say, 20 years back. And to let go of what they have experienced and getting it to change, that was our biggest challenge. So internal stakeholders.
Yeah, sorry, Smriti.
Sorry.
Ishita, thanks. I have just two questions. One is this, the gamification. Did you do that in-house or did you get somebody with...
Yes, we partnered with Skills Cafe,
Okay.
right here.
Okay, great. The second question is, while it's still new, because you've just implemented it, if you, in the second round, what kind of changes would you bring to it? What have you learned from whatever you have seen of it so far?
Yes. So one of the biggest changes that I think we could bring to it is start a part of this gamification even before these people come in physically for the program. So that's a bit extension that we would like to do. Let's see, we are hoping we'll be able to do that in the next year.
So they say well begun is half done. Now you've got these guys a quarter on, because I think this thing was in May, June, July. Now you've got August, September, October. Is there any change you see in these new inductees with this new program this year as opposed to what you had done in the past? Because the measure of success will not just be in the induction, but how it goes on. So have you noticed any change at all which kind of encourages you or discourages you?
One of the most encouraging bits that we got from feedback from our businesses, different divisions, because you see we hired 83 people this year. Last year was 103 people. So it's around that number. It's a huge number. And they spread across these 13 businesses, several divisions across the country. So some of the feedback that we have got from businesses is on the passion. That is something which is very different for this batch. And in one of our previous sessions, I think Prashant spoke about passion. And when that presentation was going on, that is the biggest difference which we have been able to make. Because now they understand ITC from a very different perspective. It's not at an information level. It is more at an emotional level. We are yet to see if it results into retention, better retention. ITC is known for having good retention rates, but we are yet to see if that happens over the next few years.